I thought that it was a matter of real concern that planted stories intended to serve a national purpose abroad came home and were circulated here and believed here, because this would mean that the CIA could manipulate the news in the United States by channeling it through some foreign country. Now, we're looking at that very carefully.
Trump is racist, though. He loves white nationalists, which is a weird term for a Nazi. Calling a Nazi a white nationalist is like calling a pedophile a kid friend.
Quote, seawater is likely to submerge some 4,000 miles of internet cable in the United States and engulf more than 1,000 data centers that house servers, routers, and other hardware by the end of this decade. At the present moment, solving the climate crisis is no longer a primarily scientific question. It is now a political one. The scientists have done much of their job, and now it is the time for us to do ours. Just as they have created the technologies and identified the targets, we must create the political will. A Green New Deal centers the leadership of frontline communities, from miners to farmers, to indigenous communities, working and poor communities, and urban communities alike. Not only because it is the right thing to do, it is, nor because it is where we can find solutions, we can, but also because it is the winning political coalition that can empower change. The Green New Deal is an economic boon for the many that contrasts with the current profits of planetary extraction. That is given our current trajectory and accounting for optimism in our actions. Through the fault of human cognitive bias, which lulls us into discounting the value of our future, the year 2080 seems like an abstraction. But if I were to have a child in the next few years, he, she, or they will have to contend with a world where some of our most precious critical infrastructure goes underwater, or our most staple and widely used crops struggle to grow and feed our population. Even if we don't want to think about our children, we can think about ourselves. By 2030, according to researchers at the University of Washington-Madison and the University of Oregon, quote, seawater is likely to submerge some 4,000 miles of internet cable in the United States and engulf more than 1,000 data.
Long story short, they found the greatest actor on the system not to be the X-ray flare energy or the particle bombardment, but the geomagnetically induced current. This is where the magnetic field of the planet turns from the protector to the effector, since its interaction with the solar wind is what's driving those induced currents. We are never more than one solar blast away from having every copper wire on Earth melt.
But despite that, many of the other actors in charge of some of the most advanced and wealthiest economies have withdrawn from the agreement in action. Not a single one is on track to meet their Paris goals.
There's a ton of news right now. A lot is going on, and we have all these 24-hour news networks, and we could be covering everything. But instead, we're covering like 3 topics. Every hour, it's Trump, Russia, Hillary, and a panel of 4 people that remind you why you don't go home for Thanksgiving. Milk comes from nuts now, all because of the gays. You guys are obsessed with Trump. Did you used to date him? Because you pretend like you hate him, but I think you love him. I think what no one in this room wants to admit is that Trump has helped all of you. He couldn't sell steaks or vodka or water or college or ties or Eric. But he has helped you. He's helped you sell your papers and your books and your TV. You helped create this monster, and now you're profiting off of him. And if you're gonna profit off of Trump, you should at least give him some money because he doesn't have any. Trump is so broke. He grabs pussies because he thinks there might be loose change in them. Flint still doesn't have clean water.
periods of calm stability. But I was wrong. This is why you actually read the papers. The myths to which the paper refers are the same kind that we identify and attempt to tear down. Speculations and guesses go unquestioned. Future studies build upon those presumptions, turning them into unchallengeable myths. This is precisely what has happened to cosmology, climate change, and Earth's catastrophe cycle. Word for word, exactly the same trouble. Now, this paper was not discussing our specific topics, rather suggesting that similar myths abound for the early formation of the Earth and other planets like Mars and Venus. But indeed, this is what we're dealing with too, on the topics we cover at the channel. All three have a dedicated movie to help you catch up. You can find them on our channel page, our website homepage, or at the links in the box right below the video. If you are new here, they are very recommended, almost needed to watch the daily shows. We greatly appreciate your support. Website members, check out the podcast from yesterday. It was a fun one. We've got wind map forecasts and shots of our star to close, and we'll do this all again tomorrow, right here. But right now, it's 4:20 a.m. in the new Valley of the Sun. Eyes open, no fear. Be safe, everyone.
I created this video with hope that people may listen to the lies that they've been told. I know it's a lot easier to fool a crowd than it is to convince them they've been fooled. If you enjoyed any of this content, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. Also, don't forget to check Ben out at the Suspicious Observers webpage, or YouTube page, I mean. Thank you. Have a good night.